we've all gotten difficult scrambles at some point, and usually when we get them, our solve times are a little bit slower than our average. So today I'm going to be telling you about a little tip that I have that will hopefully help you with dealing with bad scrambles, so that hopefully your solve time is at the very least closer to your normal average. So now one thing I should say is that I do believe that this strategy can be applied to any any event where you have a 15-second inspection, so like 3x3, pyramid, 7x7, etc. So I'm going to be using 3x3 because that's the example that most of you are probably familiar with, but like I said, the same logic can be applied for or probably can be applied for other WCA puzzles with 15-second inspections. So anyway, here's what it is. So let's say that you have a very difficult scramble and you're only able to plan about, let's say, 2/3 of what you would ideally like to plan in your inspection so that you can transition into the rest of the solve smoothly. Here's what you should do. You should, for the rest of it, if you can't predict exactly what to do, at the very least, try to predict approximately where the pieces are going to end up. So let's say you're on 3x3, and for 3x3, the fast solvers want to predict at the very least cross plus their first F2L pair. So let's say that finding your first F2L pair is very difficult and you're having trouble and running low on inspection time. Try to find a pair that you can at least predict where it's going to end up, so that when you start your solve, you know where to look for where it's going to appear after your cross is done. And this will also help aid in your look ahead because you know where you're supposed to look for, because if you don't do this extra step where you at least predict where it's going to end up, you won't really know what you're looking for and where to look for it. And basically, you're kind of relying on just during your first few moves, just finding something that pops up. But of course, that doesn't happen all the time. But at least predicting where something will end up is a very good way to make sure that you can still transition into the rest of your solve smoothly. So I do this a lot on 3x3, where if I get a very difficult scramble and the best I can do is predict just how to do the cross, I try to look for a pair that I can predict where it's going to end up, and then just track it and watch it show up in those spots so that I know exactly what to do once the cross is done. And another thing I want to mention with this, that's another tip that I think is kind of a given, but try not to overcomplicate your first few moves that you plan in inspection, because if you try to do something that is a bit harder than what you're used to, you're more likely to mess up. So let's say you're trying to predict 2 F2L pairs, but it's very difficult and you try to do something super fancy. Unless you're comfortable with it, you're probably going to mess it up. I know I've done that many times where I try to predict maybe too much, or I predict the cross, but I really can't find a good way to do an F2L pair, and I basically try to do something fancy to preserve one, and most of the time I will say it doesn't work and it will just wreck your solve. So only do what you're comfortable with, especially in competition where we're all more likely to make mistakes when you're under pressure. So yeah, basic tip is if you can't predict everything that you ideally should predict, try to at least predict where the last few pieces are going to end up, so you know where to look, so to aid in your look ahead so that you can transition smoothly into it. And hopefully when that happens, it turns out that the scramble being difficult wasn't that big of a problem. And try not to do anything super complicated because you will probably mess up. So yeah, those are my basic tips. And like I said, I believe this can be applied to any event where you have a 15-second inspection. So try experimenting around with your main events, whatever they are, and see what you can do. And so yeah. Now before I go, I must thank my incredible sponsor, thecubicle.com. They provide me with all the cubes that you see in this video, and I believe that they are the best cube store out there, and I especially like their Cubicle Premium cubes, all the different types that you can get, because I feel that you can really decide what kind you like. And if one of those doesn't quite work, you can get the Cubicle Customs, where you can give them like a custom way to lube your cube and whatnot if the standard options are not working for you. And then of course you can just buy the cube factory lubed and such and set it up yourself if you want. But I would recommend getting all of your cubes from the Cubicle. They have excellent service, and they provided me with all the cubes in this video, and I would like to thank them for that. And if you'd like to get 5% off at checkout, use the discount code POLYCUBER. So thank you all for watching. I hope this this tip was helpful for you guys, and hopefully when you do get those really bad scrambles that are very difficult, hopefully this can at least help you not mess up and make your time at least decent. So yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.